Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the universe, this is RosterWatch. My name is Alex Dunlap. I'm joined by Cody Carpentier. And Cody, we have betting odds. We're finally getting to the spot where we have player props available up to us at DraftKings, at FanDuel, Bet Rivers, all kinds of different places where we can start getting NFL draft action here and kind of helping us to maybe start to figure out where some of these landing spots are going to be for these players in our fantasy leagues, and also to see if there's any sort of value or anything here that we might be able to look at and maybe be able to pull out some long shot types of bets here. So much to get to. As I'm looking at the betting menu just on DraftKings, it's like I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, obviously we're 2 weeks out today from the NFL draft, and there's been every type of mock, everything. It feels like we're kind of so deep in the mud right now that it's time to start climbing back out. So I started working on. I started working. We should have been trying to climb out weeks ago, but it feels like you just keep on digging yourself down. So I started working on the NFL draft cheat sheet. I know Mike Bann does it every single year, but I wanted to at least have my own version. I wanted to be able to look at it so that I was prepared for the final mock drafts that we get to here in a couple of weeks. So I started building it out on the back end for us and really connecting player to team. And I started with the fantasy relevant guys so we could talk about it here on the show. And then I started dabbling in the defenders, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, et cetera, et cetera. But I think today we should just focus on these fantasy relevant guys so we can talk about potential landing spots and current odds. Some current odds came out last night with guys like Jalen Milroe favored minus 139 to go in the first round, which obviously we saw the invitation earlier this week to be at the draft. He's one of just three players. I think it's Mikael Williams, Matthew Golden, Jalen Milroe, who have accepted invitations to be at the draft in Green Bay this year. Surprised a lot of people. The odds are now that direction. I want to get your thoughts on that. But I think first and foremost, I think we start at the top.
Did you read McShay's mock?
I did.
3.0 that came out today.
I did, and he also had the Matthew Golden to Arizona thing. So I was like, I love that.
Whenever I saw that Matthew Golden to Arizona, I went and looked just now. I was curious because you talked about it. Then we had seen it in the Mel Kiper in his 2-round mock the other day. And dude, if you look over at DraftKings right now, you can go to the draft team specials. Let's see, AFC, NFC West. It was. So for the Cardinals, defensive line edge is plus 175 for their first player drafted. Offensive linemen's plus 200, cornerbacks plus 300, wide receivers at plus 600. If you're looking to get some action there and you're willing to put your money where your mouth is with your Matthew Golden stuff, with the way some of these mocks play out and your justification for it and the justification for it from McShay, it's starting to actually make sense to me. I think Matthew Golden there plus 600. Yeah. And who knows? Tet could fall there.
But Tet feels redundant. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Tet feels redundant with Marv. So let's talk about some of these landing spots. The top is going to be pretty clear for us, at least those top 4 picks with a couple of players in conversation. But I think we'll get really into the meat and potatoes with like the Ashton Jeanty conversation, the Tedero McMillan, and even down to like Amarian and Colston Loveland. But let's start with I think we're good to pass on Cam Ward. He's going to go number 1 overall. Travis Hunter, though, the odds have shifted in the last day, or actually a couple days. He was like minus 150 or minus 160. Yesterday, he got down to minus 280 to go second overall to the Cleveland Browns. And now today, when I pulled up the website, he's minus 310. So it's incrementally going in that direction.
He's minus 310? When did that?
This is minus 310 at FanDuel this morning. So yesterday, like I said, I think it was minus 270 or 280. It's continuing to creep that direction. Reminder, number 1 overall, Cam Ward is minus 20,000, for example. And then Abdul Carter, 3rd overall, is minus 170. So Hunter going second overall is becoming more clear and clear as the days go by. 3 teams I wrote down for Travis Hunter for the cheat sheet was Cleveland at 2, the Giants at 3, and New England at 4. I personally believe New England is the nuts landing spot for fantasy output for Travis Hunter, for career potential for Travis Hunter. The Cleveland and New York spots scare me because there's no quarterback in Cleveland right now. There could be a wild card conversation we could have with Shedeur potentially backdooring his way in there if Cleveland trades up from 33. But then you have the New York Giants there as well. Do you have a lean for these three teams? Preference, or where you're going to probably be mocking him in a couple of weeks, if you had to guess today?
So it looks like, I mean, I think that there's no way Travis Hunter falls to number 4, and so so for the number 4 pick, they have him at plus 1,500. So for the number 4, presumably it'll be the Patriots, but who knows? I think the Patriots are going to be the Patriots are going to find themselves in an interesting spot, dude, because it's going to go Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and then they're in this spot where we've had the discussion about what do we think that Mike Vrabel thinks about Will Campbell, right?
Mhm.
The offensive tackle out of LSU. We have our concerns about his general size and his profile. But there's the stuff about, okay, well, then you pivot to Armand Membu, and if you do, does any worry creep into your head about you need a left tackle, right? Is he going to be totally fine there? And then you start thinking, was that too early for Kelvin Banks? I think most people in the industry right now would tell you that is too early for Kelvin Banks. I think his positional over under right now is still at 18.5. McShay last night mocked him at 18 to the Seahawks. I think he could end up going earlier than that, and I also think that there's one of these props here with the Chicago Bears to take an offensive lineman that I think is has some value to it. But I think to me number 4 is just where it starts, and I don't know what I don't know what they're going to do. I think that it's like I just feel like you say you don't draft based on need, but do you really think that could Vrabel fall in love with like Jalen Walker or Mason Graham or something like this and take it over the big need there at at left tackle and maybe just hope they can get somebody? When is their next pick? Are they going to be in striking distance for like a Connerly or a Simmons, or if one of those guys
Yeah.
falls?
I mean, yeah, they could, of course, they could trade up. They're currently picking at 35 or no 38. They have 2 third-round picks as well, and they have multiple sevenths. So if they wanted to trade up from like 38 into the late 20s or something to potentially get a Simmons if he's there, I think that's there. Connerly's got a lot more conversation of late to go into round 1, so I'm not sure he's going to be available at 38, but they could definitely be in striking distance to move up.
Who do you consider the blue chip players in this class besides Hunter and besides Abdul Carter?
You're talking about overall in the whole class?
Yeah.
Hunter, Carter, Graham. I think Graham's up there.
Is Tyler Warren?
No.
Is Ashton Genty?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's him. Yeah, he's blue. Yeah.
Is
Banks.
is Jalen? Oh, so you consider
Will
Banks?
Will Campbell would be if he was the problem with me with like Will Campbell and Mason Graham is they're supreme players, supreme talents, supreme everything, but their frames are like
They don't
underwhelming.
present well. Just like, and we talked about it, and I even said it, and I tweeted it out from the combine, saying like, look, man, here's the thing. We're going to tell you this the night before these defensive linemen walk out. Whenever, and because we've seen Mason Graham, and
Yeah.
you're like, whenever you see him, you're not gonna be wowed by this guy. He's not gonna come in here and look like Dontari Poe. It's like that's not who he is.
And
But
even
just
being undersized, he's not Donald. Like Donald presented to being
right,
undersized.
right. Yeah, it's like he generally just looks kind of like a big normal guy. It's just like a larger than average, just normal looking dude. And so I had, but what we said was like just trust the film, just turn on the film and
Yeah.
and watch it. He's insanely good, and I think that he should be considered blue chip. I think that Tyler Warren should be. You don't think that he should?
Um, no.
Just for the versatility he can bring to an offense, all the things he can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's close. I'm not sure. I don't think I have him quite in that conversation there. I
Okay.
think I would. I mean, well, I guess I haven't looked at these guys from like a blue chip perspective. I think I've looked at them more like from a first round, second round, that type of way perspective. But I guess here's my way of defining it. If I would say blue chip would mean guaranteed 10-year vet. I would go Carter, I would go Hunter, I'd go Graham, I'd go Genty, I go Campbell, and I go Banks. So that's 6 guys. 6 guys that I know are going to be good.
But they're not going to take Banks at 4.
I'm not.
I'm
I
not.
mean, here's the thing, man. So those odds that came out last night, the according to Bet Rivers, the odds to be drafted in the first round. It's a long list of guys. It's the minus 1,000 was kind of the threshold. It was like Dart, Matthew Golden, Mykel Williams, who's been mocked in the top 10, Derek Harmon, Gray Zabel, all minus 1,000, Kenneth Grant minus 500, Josh Simmons, Tyler Booker. These names that we've seen consistently, James Pierce, consistently seeing like what 12 to 32, right?
I mean, James Pierce sometimes falls out of mocks. There's some
Right,
offense.
right. But he's minus 110. So this is not my point I'm making here is Banks's name isn't on this list.
Huh. So I wonder if that means that is Mimbu on the list
No,
and Campbell's not on the list
no.
and Genty and all those guys.
Genty's
So
on the
they're
list.
not.
Yeah. Sanders, Ward, Hunter, Genty, Banks, Campbell, Membu,
That's an interesting kind of discovery there.
Jalen Walker.
Yo, man, here's what happened with Banks, I think. And look, we're gonna get onto the fantasy side of this, but you never know where this show is gonna go. Like I honestly think the more and more I listen to other people talking about their issues with Kelvin Banks, I think that these guys just got a ton of their exposure to it watching Jalen Walker and Mykel Williams.
You got to watch the best game, right? That's the toughest game. That's the biggest game this year.
Yeah, and admittedly, that was a game where I mean, every aspect of the Texas offense struggled in those games. It just is what it is. And people keep talking like they're like, Mykel Williams, whatever, when they got the sack on Banks and stuff. I'm like, well, if you watch back some of those plays, man, you can put like some of those sacks, Cody, you'll remember this very well. You put it exactly on the feet of Quinn Ewers.
Yep.
When he's just walking up into the pocket with zero awareness. And like, Kelvin Banks is taking Mykel past his spot. You know what I mean? And like literally Quinn just,
What was the famous one? He was on the 3-yard line, right? The 3-yard line. Banks runs Mykel back past him. He turns. It had been like 5.5 seconds, I think I'd clocked at that point. Yeah. And then Mykel just kind of like turned backwards, and Quinn was just like,
Quinn just walks into him and like gives him a hug.
Oh, yeah. He's Banks like, what am I supposed to do?
Banks throws his arms up in the air. He's like, man, am I going to get credited for a sack allowed for that? I didn't give him a sack for that, in my own charting, but I guess some people did. I don't know. That's what I think about Banks. I think that probably the narrative with him has gone a little bit too far. I think it's interesting that you consider him sort of like a true blue chip in the class, because it was just coming back to the fact it's like if I guess it doesn't matter. I guess I've just talked myself through it. If we believe that they think that either Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks, or for that matter, Armand Mimbu, if they're comfortable with him at left tackle, they're like true blue chip guys, then you would definitely take the guy at a position of need who you think is a true blue chip guy, as opposed to taking the true blue chip guy and then addressing your position of need at 38, or moving up slightly from 38 to, if Simmons now is a favorite to go round 1, go up and get him. Like, I don't know. But for our fantasy purposes, I don't think that there's any chance. I don't think there's any chance that Travis Hunter falls to 4.
Okay, so I should take him off the sheet there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's always possible, but it's at this point in time, dude. It's going to mean that either the Giants or the Giants or the Giants or the Browns took Shedeur, and I just don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. Speaking of one more question about the Banks and the Campbell thing. If you're building a board, you personally who have watched all the Kelvin Banks, you know how Will Campbell plays. Can you have Campbell in a different bucket? If you're looking at this from a tier or from a bucket perspective, and you're ranking horizontally, Can you have these guys in different buckets? Is it possible to have these guys in different buckets?
I value all three of these tackles at the top very similarly.
Okay, so that's the whole point then, right? It's like that should tell us in itself. I don't think that there's a
It feels like there's a wide perception out there that like people say like, I mean, you hear I'll listen to people talking about how things could fall, and they say like, well, Chicago, well, the two tackles are already off the board right now, so who knows, they might have gone tackle if one of those was left. I'm like, well, are we forgetting that Kelvin Banks is in the same bucket with these?
everybody does. Everybody just says they're just like, oh yeah, it doesn't. I mean, he's going to fall to the team. They're completely blind to it. I don't think that there's a Joe Alt. I don't think that there's
No,
a
no.
this is what I'm saying though. Like
Alt
in
made it
this
so
class,
easy on us that year. He made it
in
so
this
easy on us that year.
class,
Yeah.
in this class, these guys are blue chips. But in real life, like if Joe Alt was in this class, I probably wouldn't say that they're blue chips. This class is just weaker in that, weak at the top.
Yeah, but deep.
Deep. Okay.
Deep through. And that's just the more and more I'm thinking about the conversation we were having yesterday about these running backs we love so much, like all of our day two draft capital dreams
Yeah.
that we were began to worry about yesterday when we see Mel only sending 7 of these running backs in the first 3 rounds. Like, I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to get a bunch of these guys day 3 just because they're going to take more. It's so like, I think this year, as we talk about this stuff and possible landing spots, when we talk about the ability to trade up and everything, I don't think that when these people like teams are going to be very, very, very open to trading down, and it's going to be harder to trade up because it's like it feels like rounds 2 and 3 is just value city for a bunch of these like defensive line, edge. It's just like really good players. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that works out.
All right. I want to get to some of these day 2 and day 3 guys, but I want to get through all these first rounders first. So when I'm building the cheat sheet out, I'm going to take Travis Hunter off in New England because I think everything you said makes sense with the landing spot. Obviously, the odds are in favor of Cleveland right now. If not, the Giants feels like the layup home run. So we got Cam to Tennessee. I got Travis Hunter to the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants. The next player I want to talk about, let's go to, I think we'll wait for Shador. Let's talk about Tetairoa McMillan. So Tetairoa McMillan, the window for me opens up at pick 6 with the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't agree with it. I don't see it, but we've seen the mocks there for Tetairoa McMillan. So I got the Las Vegas Raiders at 6, the Jets at 7, Carolina at 8, New Orleans at 9. You have the Cowboys. I think you have the Seattle Seahawks. You have a big drop from the Cowboys down to the Seahawks. Tampa is questionable. Denver. And then I think that's it until the end of the round, which it would have to take something maniacal, I think, for him to fall to the Detroit, Washington area. But a ton of teams here for Tetairoa McMillan from the Raiders all the way down to Washington. What do you think's most likely, and what do you think the best is?
The best for him or the best for you think?
Both. I mean, both perspectives, right? The best situation. I think the best situation for him would probably be the best situation for us for fantasy.
For fantasy.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way he goes to Las Vegas or Carolina or New
So
Orleans.
even though I know all of the information coming out
Zero
of Carolina
chance.
would tell us defense,
Yeah.
but you're looking at what the Panthers have in this class. They have 9 picks, right? They have 4 in the top 111. They have 5 in the top 114. If they say they're going to spend everything on defense, if you're going to do that, and I know we've talked in the last couple of shows about, the potential of using 57 on a receiver or maybe 74 and it being like a Jalen Noel or a Jack Besh or something.
Yes. That's perfect.
But they've spent early on late first round, early second round on Mingo and Xavier Legette the last 2 years, and they haven't exactly fired to the top level. If you're going to make a splash, would you do it at 8 potentially, and then the rest of the draft is defense?
No. I want to make a splash with Jalen Walker or Micah Williams or Mason Graham. I think I'm in. I'm at 8. I'm like, and we know who 4 of these picks are going to be. I'm within, like, I'm in absolute. I'm in like a lock city striking distance for one of those 3. That's what I'm thinking. And I know Jalen and Michael are different kinds of players, and it's like, and Mason Graham plays a different position, but all those guys are awesome. They find a way to use any single one of them. See how bad that defense is. I mean, if you can't, I mean, you have to be an idiot to not be able to have one of those guys come in and be just a star for you. So no, I don't think he can go there. I think that it would be just miserable for what was your next one for the Saints to do it. They just,
I mean, that would be their Michael Thomas with Chris Olave, right?
I think that that's going to be where Shedeur goes.
I think so too. And just while you're thinking I'm on this and marinating on it, the odds right now on FanDuel for the first wide receiver drafted, not including Travis Hunter, is Tedero McMillan minus 250, Matthew Golden's plus 170, and then it's a big drop off down to Emeka Egbuka. On DraftKings right now, it's Tedero McMillan minus 230, Matthew Golden plus 150, and then a big drop off down to Emeka Egbuka. So Tedero, even though the mocks have kind of shifted in the last 3 weeks to Golden being the first one mocked to be drafted, Tedero is a big favorite right now to be the first wide receiver off the board.
Is there one of these things where it's I thought that there was one where it was they have player to be drafted by, so they have Genty on here. Which team drafts him? This is weird that the Saints or that the Jags are in third place at plus 600 to take Genty.
Wouldn't that be just maniacally stupid?
I mean, I don't think that they're considering the like we think the Gladstone's sharp.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate donk. Like, hey,
be like, hey, dude, we were wrong about this guy.
I went to the school of Gettleman before I came here.
Shedeur Sanders. So the Saints are now the betting favorite, plus 205. Steelers at plus 350, Giants at plus 400, Cleveland plus 450, Raiders at plus 900, Jets at plus 1,000, along with the Rams for Shedeur. And then just while we're looking at this market, it's Tyler Warren to the Colts at plus 165. I know that you know what's in second place, Cody.
For Tyler Warren?
Yeah. The team that would take him from the Colts.
Oh, the Jets.
The Jets at plus 280. Yeah. And then the kind of the in vogue thing here with the Bears at plus 400. I wonder if could a team trade up for Tyler Warren?
I don't know about that.
You just don't think he's as good as I do.
Well, I think he's good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, you
can't trade up. You can't trade up for a tight end in this draft.
Bowers just went 13th last year?
Yeah,
13th.
Yeah, and
this kid's not better than Bowers.
No, he's not better than Bowers.
You trade up into the top 10. This is some it's like trading to number one overall for an inside linebacker.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so what were we talking about? Oh,
Shedeur.
I think Shedeur at 9. So I'm not there. I think it's probably like I wouldn't do it, but it's probably 12 to the Cowboys.
It feels like a good fit, doesn't it?
They're not going to take him. They're not going to take a running back. They're not going to take Omari and Hampton. What they should do is take Banks if he's there.
Yeah.
But
you think so? I mean, when you look at the Cowboys often, I mean, I know it's, I feel like they've drafted good enough the last couple of years. Let me pull up the Cowboys depth chart because I was like, I think they drafted, what's the big boy's name from Oklahoma?
Oh, the Oklahoma guy,
Guyton. So they got him at left tackle right now. Tyler
Guyton. Who is Jalen Guyton?
Wind sprinter from the Chargers.
Okay.
Tyler Smith is the left guard.
Yeah.
BB in the third round last year. Right guard is their one hole with Brock Hoffman, and then Terrence Steele right tackle. So you'd be,
Yeah, I guess,
honestly, dude, if Membu fell to 12, that would be, I think.
Oh man,
Membu.
Yeah, well, yeah, they would definitely want him for sure. And you could take Banks and play him at right guard. I think. I'm not sure he'd love it. I'm not sure he'd love it.
Yeah, I would be very ecstatic about that. But
yeah. So yeah, Tet, I think 12 makes the most sense. And then I think that if he doesn't go 12, I think that your next spot where you're kind of maybe looking for him, I kind of agree with you about the thing about Arizona, maybe not being as much of a fit there. Um, Seattle would be your next one. I don't think that Tampa Bay is in play. I think Denver's 100% in play. I don't think that Pittsburgh's in play unless somehow they were to. No, it's just not in play. They have just other stuff that they need to be doing. The Chargers can't. I could never see it.
My drop was down to Detroit, Washington after Denver.
Do you think if he got to Minnesota, somebody might trade up? Yeah, I just don't think people are going to trade. I think Minnesota's the trade up spot for one of these quarterbacks that falls.
Like a dart? You think darts? You think?
Yeah, Dart. Yeah, for sure. Or
Or maybe
Shedeur.
that might be the Milrose spot, to be honest with you.
Or the Milrow. Well, that's what McShay had in his mock. He had the Giants trading up to get Milrow there.
In the Viking spot.
Yeah. Because the Vikings only have 4 picks. So
Yeah.
obviously they're going to be wanting to trade out. Oh, and then no. Houston's the next one.
You would put Tet to Houston wouldn't be redundant with Nico.
No,
I put Igbuka and Matthew Golden to Houston.
Well, I mean, I think ultimately, I think their skill sets are a little bit redundant, but it's like it isn't like he's Nico Collins v 2.0. I think with it, I think with the fact. I thought that the fact that you said the Arizona's redundant had to do with the fact that they had both Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson.
No, it's more about that number one guy. It's more about
I don't think it matters that much.
I don't think they're comparable, but I think they're similar in how they play football. Like I think they're similar perspective receivers. I don't know. I mean, it would be fun to see 2 power forwards out there,
Yeah.
2 dudes that are 6'4" out there getting every rebound in the game, but
I don't think it would be for some reason. I just don't think it's I just don't think a Nico Collins, Christian Kirk is as disqualifying as a Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr.
okay.
But I like you. I'm not sure that I would love it. I would rather see him take Egbuka or certainly Golden or Burden or something like that. Burden, by the way, with minus odds, he's a favorite to go round 1. The draft's a flat circle,
Just barely in there.
What was it? Minus 105,
121.
Dude, that's pretty decent. Connerly, what was that? Minus 155. Some of these are interesting. The Milrose sitting here almost minus 140.
Yeah.
And that's just Egbuka's at minus 167.
I like those odds. Like Tyler Booker. I feel like Tyler Booker, there's a lot of good value in that minus 155 if you can get it.
If
Booker to me is a hammer in round 1.
If you can get, so whenever I was looking at player futures. So what was it? It was the position totals. All right. So total wide receivers drafted in the first round over 2.5. Now it's minus 270
to go. What over?
Mm-hmm. And so if you consider Tet, McMillan, and Matthew Golden to be locks, and we have now Luther Burden as a favorite. We have Emeka Egbuka as a favorite. Don't you think that is there maybe a value in betting that over 2.5, even at minus 270?
I think there's a little bit there. It's interesting that there's a better chance that you get 3 quarterbacks than it is that you get 3 receivers. Minus 340 to go over 2.5.
Well, because Shedeur, Jackson Dart, and like Cam Ward are just going to go. And somebody's going to trade up for Milrow, and somebody might even trade up for Tyler Shuck.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so stupid.
Is it really that much different than taking him at pick 33 or pick 34 or 35 or something? If you like him, you want the 5th-year option, his age 30 season option. Maybe age 31 season.
I was gonna say, I think it might be 31 because I think he's gonna be 26.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd like both those.
Because like
Anyway,
if minus 340, I mean that's a lock, right? The Dart thing. If you look over here, so we're assuming that Shador's a lock. He's not listed on this list here, but Ward number one, Dart minus 1,000.
yeah,
Shador's not on the list. And then you look at this and it's minus 340. You would think
you got
that
to
would
put
be
up
like minus.
$340 and you're gonna get a free $100 out of that
You
thing.
would think that would be like minus 800 or minus
Yeah,
700, or they would just move the number to like 3 even or 3.5. Especially with the Milrose stuff. I might even touch 3.5 with it if I was them.
but that would be more like I think that with that it would just be like even money, 3.5.
But you get, I think you get more bets on it though. But right now you're just going to get all the money should go on the over for quarterback. That shouldn't even be a question. Whereas like receiver, like you said, like it's minus 270. Like what I'm trying to say is like as much as we can feel right now that feels like a guarantee that the over for 2.5 quarterbacks is a guarantee. The receiver one is
It's
just
not quite a
behind it.
guarantee. It's
It's
not
just on
quite.
its tail, and it doesn't feel like it's as much of a guarantee.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. But I'll bet you that we see that one go up. I wish that the state of Texas would allow me to make bets on the
Right.
DraftKings sportsbook because I would put one in on that one right now.
You know, I think the Cowboys might be a flat circle spot here with Tet. I don't think he belongs up into this weight conversation, but I think when we just talk through this, I feel better and better about the likelihood of a Ted or McMillan, at 12. Like it just that's the landing spot that just makes the most sense right here.
Yeah. Oh, it feels chalky, but it feels right.
All right. Let's go to Ashton Jeanty, the running back. We kind of talked about him a little bit here, but the door opens up as well with the Raiders at 6. You have the Jets at 7. We have New Orleans. We've talked about the Kamara situation. There's potential to get out of that massive contract this summer. Chicago at 10. San Fran at 11. We've heard that they really like him. Dallas at 12. And then Denver seems like the rock bottom floor for a Jeanty at 20. I do not see that happening, but that's the rock bottom floor I put in here.
What do you think about this? Where do you think that the Jets rank as far as their odds to take Genty on DraftKings? It's Raiders minus 150, Bears plus
It's interesting.
300, Jags plus 600, Saints plus 1,300, Cowboys plus 1,400, Patriots plus 1,500, New York Jets plus 2,000.
Really?
Yeah. The Jets have already come out and said, it was the most idiotic thing that I've ever heard. They said the most idiotic thing that I've ever heard, which was, we're going to go to a committee. We want to go to a committee backfield. So if anybody's interested in Brees Hall, come and get him, and we'll take Ashton Jeanty because we want to bring in the back that's like the number one option that you'd want to bring in if you just want to feed one dude all the time and say you want him to be your committee back. But regardless, even though it's stupid and it made no sense that they said it, right? I'm not sure if it's a ploy to try and say, that they're interested in him. Just somebody's, maybe they want to trade back, but the fact that they've even mentioned Jeanty and they've invoked his name and stuff, it's just weird to me that he's like 8th in the odds plus 2,000. He's right there in the striking distance of where Jeanty's going to go. So anyway,
You think he makes it past 6?
Probably not. When you have so many insiders just dotting just continuing to do this, he's minus 150 to go there to the Raiders. We've talked about Spy Tech, we've talked about Care, we've talked about all this stuff. We've been over it. With that being said, I just don't know. The one thing that Minch and McShay and those guys brought up was that Tom Brady has sort of said he's going to take the mantle here of proving to the NFL how important it is for like his big cause, right? Is like he wants to show that good things happen when you take time to develop a quarterback and do it right, right? And so you think and I started thinking to myself, well, okay, well, how long is Geno Smith going to be the quarterback there? Can they
just gave
wait
him a
till
2-year extension.
What?
They just gave him a 2-year extension, like what, on Monday?
Yeah. So, but right. So he's going to be there. But how long is he going to be 3 years?
25, 26, and then there's an out. But he has
Okay.
27 under contract as well. That's age 37 though.
Okay. So, and who knows what might happen with Gino coming in at age 37. We,
Yeah.
if we would have been, if I would have told you 3-4 years ago, we'd be talking on a fantasy football show in 2025 about Gino coming into his age 37 season, you'd have been like, what? So, you'd be like, what planet are you from? Um, so if that's the ultimate plan, long term, like I'm not 100% sure that they couldn't just do something weird and draft one of these quarterbacks.
Does that sound like something they would do with Shador though? Like, does that sound like a Shador at 6 thing, or does that more to you sound like a like Will Howard in the second, or
I
like
could be. I mean, there's the Will Howard connection with Chip Kelly. I just,
you get a value at some point with like a Kyle McCord or a Quinn in the third or something.
yeah, that could be it too. Because Brady could be like, look, I was a late round draft pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense. I think I think it's probably
Genty.
Genty. I think that if Mason Graham was available, you could take Mason. Who do they have besides? Let me look at their depth chart. Besides Wilkins, it was
Well, they got Kuntz, Crosby, Wilkins, and then the other defensive tackle I think was they signed like Lecky Fotu, but I don't know
who did
anybody
they?
else.
Yeah, hold on. It was
Adam,
Jonah Kuntz, Jonah Lualu.
I don't know who the hell that is, to be honest
Dude,
with you.
why not? Why? I mean, Mason Graham and Christian Wilkins,
And Crosby and Kuntz. That's pretty
Crosby.
sick.
You kidding me? So I mean, I think they could do, if he was available. I'm not sure he will be available. Um, I think that probably Genty goes there. We know what happens if he doesn't go there. He could go at off. I could probably pull up the sheet, but I mean he'd go at 10 to the Bears, 12. I think he's absolutely, and then I think where he's there's only 3 options:
Yeah.
Jets, Bears, Cowboys.
So you don't think
Realistically,
okay.
and wouldn't the odds tell us the same? Yeah, no, okay. So the odds actually tell us that the 3 most realistic options are Raiders, Bears, Jaguars.
What the hell, man?
Jaguars plus 600, Saints plus 1300, Cowboys plus 1400.
I'm not getting on this Jaguar train, man.
Me either.
That doesn't make any sense. And it would be just a colossal, I don't even know. All right. Past Genty. We got Colston Loveland, who's the second tight end off the board. Does that wait, did we talk about Tyler Warren already? No, we didn't talk about Tyler Warren. Let's talk about Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland together. So Warren, we've seen mocks to the Jets. Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State, 6'6, 256, very versatile guy. Mocked a lot inside the top 10. Jets at 7, the door opens for Warren. You have Chicago at 10, who you talked about before. San Fran's been linked to him as well, and Indianapolis there at 14. Loveland, I had the door opening at 14 for the Colts, and then going Chargers, Rams, and then the rock bottom floor being Chiefs, Eagles. Do you think that Warren is a top 10 guy, like a Jet or a Bear? We just talked about both situations. We talked about the Jets potentially taking running back. The Jets need tackle.
Hold on, you didn't even mention the. Did you mention the Chargers for Colston Loveland?
Yeah, I said Rams, Chargers.
Okay.
Yeah, Indianapolis, and then Rams, Chargers, and then the floor is Chiefs, Eagles for me.
All right. Well, I think with Warren, so if you look at his odds, Indy is plus 165 and Jets are plus 280. Those feel like the 2 obvious ones to me. It's just like do the Bears right there in the middle there. If the Jets go like Membu, which feels like the kind of chalky pick lately, that if the Jets go offensive tackle there, that could the Bears pick them off at 10? And that's plus 400, but the Colts then after that are plus 165. He's not going to I don't know. I don't think that Tyler Warren would. Let me pull up the sheet. I'm just trying to think here. So San Francisco, I mean, no. right?
They talked about it, though. That's what I'm saying. That's been though that has come out. They've come out saying that they like Genty and Warren.
Well, I'd have if they wouldn't have brought back Kyle Juszczyk, I would have said that the whole Tyler Warren thing makes a ton of sense.
That's fair.
But after getting to evaluate Tyler Warren, they brought back Kyle Juszczyk.
But the thing, they play positionless football. It's like, I mean, this guy can play everywhere.
Oh, right.
Kind of fits their style of just.
Dallas is I can't see it at all. Miami, they need to take an offensive lineman.
Colts
Indy,
floor.
yeah, the Colts. That Colts is where it is. I mean, the Colts is that's the last. He's gonna be. I think he's gonna be gone. But I kind of think he's gonna go to the. I could might somebody have to trade up to come get Tyler Warren? I keep coming back to this.
Who you trading up with?
I think you have to trade up with like Las Vegas or Jacksonville.
Oh, I think both of those teams would be willing to move back.
You know Jacksonville would.
Of course, yeah.
I'm starting to think Tyler Warren's a Jet, dude. You hear people who are in the know saying like Bears fans, don't get your hopes up about these recent mocks with Tyler Warren. He's not going to be available at 10.
He's currently minus 160 to be a top 10 pick. The favorites that are available: Mason Graham, Campbell, Jalen Walker, Genty, Membu, Sanders minus 200, Warren minus 160.
What is Membu minus what?
475.
So, if Mimbu's the Jets, then where's the top 10 pick for is Tyler Warren really going to be a Bear, dude?
Top 5 picks. The only ones available that are favorites are Mason Graham and Will Campbell.
Yeah,
Warren's 1,500. So if you think Warren's going to get traded, or you think someone's going to trade up with the Jags to get Warren, plus 1,500 right now, top 5.
I don't know if somebody if Indy loves him. What is Indy? Let me look. What are Indy's picks?
And Tyler Warren's draft position is 9.5, and the over is favorited. It's juiced to minus 160. So higher than, that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
That's Tyler Warren. It's plus 160 to go over.
No, minus 160.
So
favorited.
He's going to, gosh, people are pricing him in to be a Chicago Bear, Cody. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's either so for Warren, it's either the Jets, the Bears, or the Colts. Lock one of those in.
Are any of those good landing spots for fantasy football?
Probably Bears.
Is it good though? It's not great.
Probably see a bunch of 2 tight end sets with him and Cole Kmet, and that would also make it easy for them to, we've heard reports in the last 2 days that after the draft they might be interested in bringing back Keenan Allen. That would be out the window.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of weapons. No left tackle, but a lot of weapons. We did a Superflex tight end premium mock yesterday, and he was obviously he was a first round pick, but I don't know if any of those landing spots make me want to take him in the first round, even in premium.
I would still take him. I think the worst is Indy. I think the best is Chicago.
Would you consider taking Loveland first if Loveland ended up in with the Chargers or the Rams?
I think you would have to consider it. And that's probably what's going to happen.
I haven't seen any odds on Loveland out here on the market.
Well, I mean, let's just look. I think that there are odds you could look at just for so let's look at AFC West and NFC West as far as the draft team. So AFC West, the Chargers are their second best odds are to take a tight end. So defensive line edge is at plus 150. Tight end is next at plus 300. Okay. And then NFC West, the Rams, the team's fourth best odds are at offensive or for at tight end. So offensive lineman for the Rams is plus 225. Corner is 225. Defensive line edge is plus 500. Tight end is plus 600. So I think what that's telling you is that the Colston Loveland connection from Michigan with Harbaugh and the team need at tight end is what's sort of pushing that. The only others that we have here where tight end is one of the top two. So we have in the AFC East, of course, the Jets. It's a top two odds for those guys. Offensive lineman is minus 125. Tight ends plus 280. At let's see, anyone in the NFC North that has any tight end? No, not at all. AFC South. Houston Texans have a tight end as their fourth, I guess best odds, but that's at plus 2,000. So the market's not really doing anything there with them. We already said AFC West, NFC East, nothing with Eagles. Okay. So Eagles defensive line plus 100, offensive line plus 300, safety plus 500, tight end plus 750. NFC North, Chicago Bears tight end plus 350.
Okay. So his odds right now, I found his draft position is 19.5. And it's minus 200 to be drafted before 19.5.
Who? And
that's Tampa.
20?
Tampa's 19, Denver's 20.
They think he's going to Denver.
But it's favored to go before that. Like he's favored to be gone before that. Minus 200 to go earlier than 19.5.
But isn't Seattle 18?
What am I looking at this wrong? No, it's Seattle, Tampa, Denver. Denver's 19.
Seattle 17.
Denver's 20. Sorry. Tampa's 19. Seattle's 18.
Right.
The juice is towards Tampa. So that means the Chargers are picking at 20.
Why would they cut it off? But they wanted to cut it off at the Broncos.
The Broncos was always, that was always the conversation, right? Until they got Evan Ingram.
Yeah, and Broncos right now are plus 800. I think, and you say the juice is for him to go before then.
Yeah.
And the Chargers pick, what's the Chargers pick again? I have so many tabs pulled up. I can't get.
No, you're good. You're good. 22 after Pittsburgh.
Okay. Where do they have him going? Like, why wouldn't they just put this at like 14.5? He's not going to Atlanta. He's not going to Arizona. He's not going to Cincinnati.
So right now on the open on mock draft database, the favorite landing spots are Colts at 14. I still see Broncos here. Broncos, Colts, Chargers, Colts, Broncos, Chargers. One guy had Tampa. Jags at 15, so Jags would have traded down for that to happen.
He's not going to go to Tampa or Cincinnati or Seattle. Like it would be. He's certainly not at Atlanta.
Rams. So you're getting plus money if you think he's going to fall past 19.5.
It's just, no, it's a matter of, yeah. And so what you need to think over is, are the Jets, are they more likely to take Armand Membu or are they more likely to take Tyler Warren? Because if that happens, you can just lock in Colston Loveland, I think, at number 14 to Indy.
Okay. That's a good point.
Or are the Bears just going to go get Tyler Warren? The two conference. But it's weird that that's the line that they would give us and not just give us the line at 14.5. Why there? Why in this no man's land?
People attached to the Denver thing. That Denver landing spot's got.
So I guess the Denver is this. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
One last position I want to talk about before we get out of here is these quarterbacks. We haven't talked about Shedeur yet. Jackson Dart minus 1,000 to go in round 1, and that Jalen Milroe number coming up to minus 139 to go in the first round. Plus,
what is Omari and Hamptons?
The invite. Omari and Hamptons minus 500.
Okay. I saw that Travion Henderson was plus 225 to go first round. That was interesting to me. Somebody's gonna get upset. God, someone's gonna get so sick in the second round with Travion.
Quinshon plus 500, Caleb Johnson plus 500. Actually, worse odds to go in the first round than Quinn Ewers and Isaiah Bond.
What?
Yeah. Those guys are both plus 400. Quinshon and Caleb are plus 500.
Well,
that's bad. All right, quarterback. Figuring out these quarterbacks will definitely be a big thing if we can hit it in our mock drafts for the huddle report. Shador, I have the Giants plugged in here. I have Cleveland plugged in here, but it's more right now as like a tentative like trade back up sort of a situation. We talked about Hunter before. The Raiders, we talked about that a minute ago. We kind of both think that's probably out the window. The Jets are there as a wild card. The Saints feels like that's now probably the favorite. They're probably in the pole position right now. Seattle, Pittsburgh, wild card spots later. And then for Dart, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, and the Rams. And I didn't have anything yet for Milrow.
Okay. I think that what's going to happen for Dart is that, and for Shador maybe, I'm really starting to think that the Browns and the Giants are going to find ways to trade up into the. And for the Browns, I think it's an easier, cleaner thing to do, right? I don't have the picks pulled up. Let me pull them up.
The picks for the Browns currently, they pick at 33, which is the top of the second, 67, the top of the third, 94, late third, and 104, top of the fourth. So they have five picks in the top 100.
So send 33 and 67 up to or whatever and move up to number 25 because Jackson Dart is falling or because Shador is falling.
Dude, that
right.
Moving up to Minnesota right there is like that's a good dart spot.
Yeah, and
you can get it.
And so I look and see, I'm just like, well, he's going to continue to fall unless somebody comes up to go get him.
Yeah,
I kind of think it's the same for Shador if he's not taken at number 9 by the Saints. So whenever, like, I just think that means that whenever you look at the odds here for Shador, who's going to draft him? The Saints are plus 205. The Steelers are plus 350. That's like saying that he's going to fall to the Steelers, and the Steelers are just going to take him right there, right? But whenever you get the Giants and the Browns at plus 400 and plus 450, you're not only getting the backdoor chance that we've been lied to this whole time, and one of these teams actually really is in love with Shador Sanders, and all they want to do is get somebody to move up. So Andrew Berry's been saying he's been leaking that we're going to take Travis Hunter, and then they trade back and take Shador, or they end up taking Shador there, right? And it's all been a giant lie, and they were taking the whole time. So you have the backdoor chance of that happening, but also you have a chance of them trading back up, or a chance of them like trading down the person there taking Travis Hunter, then moving back to 8 or whatever and taking Shador there. So I kind of think that Shador and Dart and these guys that would be considered the number 2 and the number 3 quarterback in the class, that you would say, all right, well, these 3 teams at the top all need quarterbacks. They're going to go 1, 2, 3 right off the bat. I think that they might still end up kind of being in play for these guys just with trade-up situations, because they're going to need quarterbacks, and I think they know that they're going to fall. Milrow, I have no idea what to think. I mean, I just don't know.
If we plug in Shador and Dart to either Cleveland or New Orleans, one of them goes to one place, one of them goes to the other. Ward goes to Tennessee. The Giants are wide open. That's the one team left, right? And then potentially the Rams, I guess, is a wild card.
Yeah. And all
for quarterback.
And all
that's all three are now off the board. Yeah, so Dart, Shador, and Ward are off the board. Giants are the only team left. That would potentially be a Milrow team.
You think the city that never sleeps would be out partying all night to get Jalen Milrow in town as the heir apparent?
You could trade up for him. Well, how far are you going to trade up, right? Like the Giants have They don't. I mean, they have 8 picks. They don't have a ton. They have 2/3 though. They could go 34-65 and get up. 34-99 probably gets you up into. That probably gets you up to Houston at 25, Baltimore at 27. Probably want to get to Houston at 25 though. With the Rams at 26. I don't know if the Rams are a middle team though.
Well, let's get out of here on this one. Of all the landing spots that we've talked about today, some of them aren't even that fun to even think about. What's the most fun to think about?
I think the most fun landing spot to think about for potential upside for fantasy football bonanza is one we haven't even talked about yet because it's so easily understandable, so easily digestible. It's the running back that we haven't talked about. It's Omarion Hampton going to the Denver Broncos.
This is Anthony Richardson. You're listening to RosterWatch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to RosterWatch.